Welcome home, tribe. Welcome home. Of course, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be in your space, and I'm also excited and elated to be sharing this moment with you. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Nuna. I am here to help you transcend beyond pain and suffering. I'm here to help you heal, manifest, as well as expand your consciousness, and I do so through merging the arts of poetry and magic. Let's go ahead and get into some messages here. I do have the chart put up to my right. This is going to be about Jupiter in Cancer, or Jupiter going direct in Cancer, and he will be going direct at around 11:30 p.m. And I'm going to be making that the focus. So as you can see here, I do have a candle burning. This candle is actually the Peace in My Home candle that is in the Etherium. And the reason why I have this burning is because I felt called to work with that energy at the moment. And yes, so this candle is actually here to help you to ease any kind of emotional tension that may arise in the home. And it's also here to help to reveal the things that are underneath, that are underway, or that have not been revealed, that you can feel are, I don't want to say plaguing the home, but are causing emotional turmoil and emotional disruption. And the peace in my home candle does not only mean for you to have peace in the actual home environment, it's also for you to have peace within yourself. This candle helps you with emotional clarity, spiritual clarity in terms of what you need to feel safe in your home, and also what you need to feel safe in your intuitive body and your emotional body, which is so fitting for Jupiter going direct in Cancer. Cancer does rule the home, it rules the emotions, but it's also emotional intelligence. And with a planet like Jupiter being in that sign, this is all about you expanding your awareness, your emotional awareness, your emotional capacity, and your intuitive capacity, especially in regards to the things that make you feel at home. And the things that make you feel at home within yourself, as well as in your temple. That's exactly what this energy is about. And I want to pull cards to see what you may need right now to make you feel emotionally and intuitively safe, held, and what can help you to reach your own or expand your own capacity for love, for home, for safety, security, and things of that nature. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and move the camera down. Again, this is available in the Etherium. The Etherium is a space where I do handcraft spiritual essentials to help you work your magic for reasons that I mentioned earlier. So we're just going to go ahead and move this camera down. Also, by the way, I do have some oils that are here to my right, as well as I like to call these spirit sprays that I'm going to be offering soon. I'm so excited to be offering these soon. And these spirit sprays are to be added to your spiritual routine. You can spray them away from fire, of course. And I'm going to say that now because I'm getting ready to move this candle. But make sure that when you're utilizing these spiritual sprays, that you're using or setting your intention for what you need in regards to the spiritual sprays. Now, unlike perfumes, or well, I mean, you can consider this a perfume, but I like to call it a spirit spray because it has so much more intention behind it. It's not really about selling a story. It's more so about being integrated into your spiritual routine and into your spiritual practice. These items or essentials are prayed over. They are charged. They are blissed. I don't like to say blessed really anymore, but I do like to say blissed. They are blissed, and they are to be a part of your spiritual routine. So if you are at your altar and you're getting ready to go into prayer, you can spray some of these essentials, or you can spray the spirit spray to help you connect, or it can help to protect you. And you may want to work on glamour magic. So you will have sprays that are dedicated to glamour magic, and they are used with essential oils. I do not use any type of fixatives in it. In fact, the only thing that I would use would be the essential oils, and I may use perfumer's alcohol. And if I don't use perfumer's alcohol, it'll be something like fresh herbs that I use that I dry, well, not dry, but to where it gets the water out, but dry to where I pat them dry. And then I use either rum or I'll probably use maybe some vodka or something like that, and then maybe dilute it a little bit, and then that will be that. It just kind of depends on what spirit is wanting me to do. So either way it goes, yes, that's what this is for. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. Allow me to spray this. Let me move this candle because I don't want any accidents. And I'm gonna go ahead and spray some here. Spray some here. And spray some on my hands. And it smells so good. You can smell the, oh my goodness. You can just, I let it sit for a while, obviously. So you can just smell all the amazingness. You can smell, I use like a little bit of ylang ylang. I use a little bit of that. I also, did I use patchouli in this one? I don't think I used patchouli in this one. As a matter of fact, did I? No, I did not, because there's no hazing in this one. So yes, anyway, I also use frankincense and I use some other stuff. So either way it goes, yes, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to be working with the Mermaid Tarot, which is so fitting for this moment, obviously. And as you know, I'm also a writer. So more than likely, I'm going to actually be pulling messages from this reading to implement into a writing piece or writing pieces. This card is wanting to come out. And yes, so that's what we're going to be doing. And I'm also going to be talking to you about Jupiter in Cancer. So since Jupiter was in Cancer, I'm pretty sure you probably have been called to go inward. You more than likely were in a space where you kind of felt like you needed to go inward to figure out what is going on with me emotionally. What do I need to feel emotionally safe? Is what's happening out in the world impacting me in my own personal life? Where do I feel like I need emotional security? And I also feel like it draws you inwards, or it drew you inwards, so that you can reflect on home and what it means to feel at home, what it means to feel safe. As I say that, all of these cards just fell all over the floor. And it's so interesting that that happened, because I feel like the fact that we're talking about clarity here, we do have the Ace of Swords and we also do have here the Ace of Cups. And not only that, we also have the Six of Swords. You have the Four of Cups in reverse. And I feel like with this transit, with Jupiter going direct, being in the sign of Cancer, he's also going to be leaving, I think, in July or June. It's either June 30th or July 30th. I have to double check. But anyway, let me go ahead and pick up these cards real quick to see what was going on. My apologies for that. I had to go and pick that up. So anyway, Jupiter is this energy of wisdom, right? I feel like Jupiter is the guru. Jupiter is the guru. He's a sage. He's the wise one. And he shows you where you resist. And he also shows you where you can increase your compassion, where you can increase your capacity for compassion, whether that be receiving it or whether that be extending it, right? I also feel like Jupiter is also, yes, he's a sign, or not sign, but he's a planet of expansion. So it's not necessarily him expanding, or I say him because it is a masculine planet and I'm personifying it with saying he. So the planet is not about just expanding things that are favorable. Jupiter will expand anything that is present. So if you have been swimming or, swimming in or drowning in these emotional instances or these emotional scenarios or situations, then with his energy, it's going to expand. But when he's retrograde, he kind of pulls you into yourself and say, where do I feel like I haven't been emotionally well? Where do I feel that I have been emotionally ill, imbalanced, or even emotionally cluttered? Jupiter pulls you inward when he's retrograde to say, what is the wisdom that I need to draw from this space right now? What am I remembering? And For those of you that are not aware to this, I actually started something. I want to, was it last year? It was definitely last year, where the word remembrance just kept coming through, and I just kept hearing the word remembrance, 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 and I'm like, okay, like I don't know why this is coming through this way, and I actually wrote it down in my journal. I may or may not show you in a clip here. I just have to remember where it is. But anyway, I'll probably put it in there. But anyway, I started the Saiyonan path for that because it is a path of remembrance. And throughout this time of Jupiter being retrograde, more than, especially in Cancer, this meant that you were start to uncover, or you uncovered things about your ancestry that you had no idea about. It uncovered the emotional aspects within yourself that you may not have paid attention to, that you may have suppressed. Could have also revealed where you felt maybe unsafe within yourself, within your body. It brought up emotional turmoil and emotional trauma in regards to the home, especially the mother. I'm dealing with the mother because Cancer is the great mother. Cancer is the mother of the seas, right? That's what I feel. At least that's just what I feel. But anyway, so Cancer is this energy that wants to create safety for itself, but also for others. It could be, on a good day, it could be very emotionally compassionate. It's emotionally aware, intuitive. It provides a space. It'll, they'll cook for you. They'll create a home for you, give you soft, plushy things to help you feel at home. It caters to your inner child. It caters to the part of you that needs nurturing. It wraps you up in a blanket and says, this is where I'm going to coddle you. Like, let me coddle you. I'll do that for you. On a day where it's not very well, or it's not in their right mind, it could be very hasty, mean, argumentative, bullying, and it can have this really unpredictable aspect to Cancer, right? And I know that some people, and this is where I'm going to be real with you, I'm not one for ego fixes when it comes to the zodiac signs, because from when I believe that we all embody these energies, because at the end of the day, it's just energy. So whenever I hear a person say, well, I'm doing this, I'm just a Cancer, or I'm just a Taurus, or whatever, I immediately I don't want to say that I immediately dismiss it in a disrespectful way, but I don't pay attention to that because all of us encapsulate all of these energies, right? So I feel like there's a rep with people who say, well, I'm a Cancer, and then they do like this harmful, toxic, or they exude these harmful, toxic traits emotionally, where they may emotionally manipulate, or they may be emotionally hasty or intuitively hasty and things of that nature. What does that mean to be intuitively hasty? It basically means the way that it's coming through, it's like, okay, well, you use your intuition to receive information, but because you're not having a good day, you'll use that against someone. And there are people in this world that do that. Why am I saying that? Because you may have been a victim to that. You may have been someone that felt like they were hurt in the past because of someone else's vindictiveness, or there may have been wounds in your life where you felt like you were just simply not emotionally safe, specifically with the maternal energy, because Cancer is also ruled by the moon. So this is where you go into your internal space and you say, well, this is where I felt unsafe, especially in terms of my upbringing. Now, if you look at astrology, right, astrology would be like your, after the diagnosis. Well, no, astrology would be the diagnosis, right? Astrology is the diagnosis. You go into the charts, you figure out what is going on, you figure out what's happening, why things are happening, and then planetary magic is where you say, well, because of what happened, because of what I've received, because of what I planned, now I'm in a space where I'm going to get to work. Think of it as when you go to a doctor's office, or you go to like a practitioner. They'll figure out what's wrong with you, ask you questions, they'll go into it, they'll do some blood work, they'll draw your blood, they'll weigh you on a scale, whatever it is, the whole shebang. And then they start to talk to the doctors. They're like, okay, cool, this is what's going wrong. I noticed that during this x-ray, this is what's happening, yada, yada, yada. This is what we can plan for. This is not my forte. You have to go to this doctor, whatever. So you find the answer using astrology, or you allow the answers to come to you while you're diving into the chart. You use your intellect and your intuition, you merge them, and then planetary magic is where you do the work according to what you find, right? It's when you do the surgery. It's where you start to actually go in and you do what you need to do to cure whatever this thing is, to alleviate the pain and whatever it is, to fully cure it. So this right now, what I'm feeling like is that it's bringing me to some type of emotional curation, or I said curation, but that's not the right word. It's where you start to cure and alleviate these things. But this time I just heard the word permanent. It's a lot more permanent than what you would think, right? And it's so essential for us to understand that during the time of Jupiter retrograde, this is where again we had to go internal. Things they're not stable right now. Like they are absolutely not stable. They are not. Like we are in times where things, almost anything can happen. Like there's this pool of infinite possibilities that we're all in. We're all swimming in this void. We're all just, we're moving, we're swimming, we're all of us are wanting some type of safety, security, and things of that nature. I'm noticing that there's going to be a grand trine in water. So this is one of those things where you could be called for this Jupiter going direct to really tune into your emotional wisdom and really tune into your spiritual wisdom, your intuitive wisdom, and be cardinal in terms of what you know to be intuitively true. Be cardinal in terms of implementing your emotional wisdom. Because again, remember, well, not again, I didn't say this yet, but Cancer actually is a cardinal sign. Cancer wants to do. Cancer says, I want to actively create this space for you, right? So with Jupiter, with this masculine sign, it says, okay, well, I'm going to actively implement my emotional wisdom, my emotional intelligence, and moving forward in my life. I don't want to say that there shouldn't be, but there won't be any need for me to react, because look at how much I've learned. Right now, I've learned how to stabilize myself after being destabilized. Now I know more about myself, what I need to feel safe, what I want to do to help other people feel safe. I know that, and when it comes to divine partnership, that this is what I would need. I know that with divine partnership, this is what I feel like I would want. This is what I can give. This is my capacity. But I'm increasing my capacity to love. I'm increasing my capacity to feel. I'm increasing my capacity to breathe, to be, to root, to burn, to flow, to breathe, to be. Right? To root, to burn, to flow, to breathe, to be. Those are the things that you're welcoming in. By the way, those are the chapters to my book, just in case you guys wanted to know. Anyway, so basically those, and I'm working on that. I have to go live a little bit before I actually write the book. So anyways, I'm, drawing in so many wisdoms right now, and I'm obtaining a lot more knowledge and life experience before I write that book, but that's going to come later in time. Why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this because I feel like even with looking at the chart, I'm noticing that there obviously is a stellium that is in the sign of Pisces. And this is basically where we say, I'm not really certain, right? Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to act. I don't know what to think. I don't know. Like, I just don't know. But the beautiful thing is that this is where you allow divine intervention to follow through. When it comes to your emotional expression, right? You may feel called to express yourself more in a way that really is more aligned. You express yourself. It's like where you wear your emotions on your sleeve a little bit more. You may do it obviously using discernment, but when you allow yourself to wear your emotions on your sleeve, you're doing it around the right people, and you've learned a strong lesson about wearing your emotions on your sleeve in terms of being around certain groups and people. You start to realize that, okay, people were doing this because they were hurt, or people were acting this way because they lacked emotional guidance, or they lacked emotional wisdom, emotional intelligence. They themselves didn't know how to regulate. So I'm going to embody this more guru aspect. I'm going to embody the great teacher within myself, and then I'm going to give that wisdom to other people who may need it. And this is how you show up as a leader in your community, in your home, and your job, and your, it could, for the globe, for whatever it is, right? This is all a part of your purpose, and it's a part of what you are here to do. I'm also noticing that at the time that Jupiter goes direct, he'll also be trining with Mars. He'll be trining with Mercury. He'll be trining with the sun. And he'll also be trining with the ascendant. So what does this mean? It's releasing control and understanding that the more you surrender and the more you flow, the more you allow these energies to be what they are, the more wisdom you gain, but also the easier things become because the energy is not so resistant. Remember, we're having a grand trine here in the water sign. So this means that you allow your intuitive bodies to work together harmoniously. At one moment, you may feel high up in the cosmos. In one moment, you may feel deep within the depths of the ocean, and in other instances, you may feel like you're out in open water, like you're just out in open water. But the beautiful thing is that you get to connect with your emotional bodies. You connect with your intuition. You connect with the sea, this vastness of the sea, and you increase your capacity to hold it. And it's so beautiful because I actually wrote a poem called "I See You," and it's actually on. I think it's actually on. Is it on TikTok? No, I don't know if I gave it to TikTok. I feel like, you know what? I did, I think. I know I gave it to TikTok and I know that I gave it to Instagram. I'm going to go back and see. But either way it goes, it was an impetus on me being able to see you, see your pain, see the things that you have held on to, see the things that you may not speak about. And it was such a beautiful piece. It was heartbreaking and it was very, very, very deep, but it was very much needed. If you try to control the image of something, then you are going to have a very hard time. Okay. If you do, I'm also noticing here that the sun is also going to be in Sag at the time, which it is in Sag actually in the second house. I feel like the fact that it is trining. Oh, there's also a trine here in fire. So this is initiative here. This is you taking initiative. This is you moving with that emotional intelligence and awareness, and you act on it because you are more intuitively sound. You're more wise, and so you act with that. But anyway, going back to the moon here that is in a beautiful trine with the midheaven, who's in Leo in the sign of and the sun in Leo in the 10th house. This is bringing me the energy that really does want to express itself. It wants to share its philosophy. It wants to share and express itself in a way that is true, authentic, and honest. It really does. It really, really does. And I feel like there is going to be some emotional tension forming leading up to the time of the new moon in Pisces. However, I don't really want to go too deeply into those things there. I want to kind of focus on the more lighthearted things as well. And for more unfavorable things, I may or may not talk about those in a post over on Instagram. Nodes are in Pisces, and then the south nodes are in what is that, Virgo, right? So what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to utilize this time to let go of the need to control any outcomes, the need to program, the need to fix everything, and instead we're allowing ourselves to move into this energy where we are surrendering. We're not trying to hold on to things because we want to calculate them, but we want to prep and plan for everything, which I get that. Like, we want to prep, we want to plan, and we want to prepare. But at the same time, what these nodes are asking for us or of us is to allow ourselves to be led and to express ourselves in a way that is true, in a way that is honest, but also in a way that allows us to be more compassionate and not so hasty with our words, and not because I feel like I'm just right or because I feel like I need to be this way. It's you not utilizing your words and your expression for a selfish reason, but you do understand that you're leaving this need to prove yourself, to devote yourself to groups and these ideologies that pull you away from your authenticity. I want to allow myself to feel not just inspired by this energy, but I want to allow myself to feel open. Look at that, peace in my home, walking away from these groups. Exactly, walking away from friendships, groups, ideas, right, ideologies, expectations, even expectations, and just allowing yourself to express yourself in a way that is more compassionate, is dreamy, is artsy, right? Because Pisces is art. It's the art of the cosmos. It is the cosmos, it is the void, but it's also the art of the void, right? Pisces is the art of the void. And I said what I said. You heard it here first. Pisces is the art of the void. And I feel like with you expressing that art, especially the fact that it's in the fifth house has to deal with expression. It deals with children. It deals with all of those things. So this is creating a safe space and a temple for your children, for you, for your own inner child. This is you walking away from anything that makes your children feel unsafe. If you were in a situationship or in a relationship where you felt like your children were being where your children were being impacted by this, and you may want to leave because you know that your greatest joy could be your children, and you're like, I don't want my kids being in this space anymore. Something has to change. And if that relationship is not allowing you the energy to change, or they're not changing, then what you could do is say, I don't want this. This is not true for me. This is not the energy that I want to stay in because it's not safe here, and I'm moving. And also at this time, I do see that there's going to be energies where you, or this need to move or to plan a move, to get a bigger vessel, to get a bigger home, right? These are things where you want to start to really look at what makes you feel safe at home, but also create a new hearth, create a new home. I just heard the words abandonment. Want to say now that because I just heard the word abandonment, silence does not equate to emotional abandonment. Silence is the gateway to understanding. Wow, that was beautiful. Silence does not equate to emotional abandonment. Silence is the gateway to understanding. This King of Swords being reversed here, it's like, I don't want to accept this narrative, and I'm not going to continue to accept this kind of talk. I feel like this is too icy, it's too cold. I don't like what this is doing to me. I'm willing to leave because I know, especially the fact that we just mentioned a partnership, this is the energy where it's like I'm actively choosing energies, and I'm choosing people, places, and things that really do truly have my best interest at heart, that aren't emotionally abusive, mentally abusive, psychologically abusive, intuitively abusive, right? Spiritually abusive. This is where you start to realize where you may have been spiritually bullied. I'm hearing the words spiritual bullying, and you say, no, I'm rising up. You cannot have this. Absolutely not. You allow yourself to open yourself up to these amazing energies that make you again feel safe, that allow you to feel safe and comfortable. Not complacent, but safe and comfortable, so that you can be more in your purpose, so that you can act on purpose and be in your purpose. And also the vertex point being in the sign of Cancer, it actually looks like it's going to be on at 0 degrees, actually, just freshly getting ready to enter into Cancer, because I have the charts pulled up in whole signs, actually. So what does this mean? This basically means that you're now learning how to expand your consciousness. And the fact that Jupiter is at home in the ninth house, beautiful. He's at home in the ninth house. This is where you start to expand your consciousness in terms of what you learned emotionally. Exactly. The things that you learned emotionally are the things that help you to expand your mind, expand your consciousness. You learn so much about emotions, about intuition, about the waters, right? This is where we start to become clear. This is where the the suds on, in the ocean, that where they become more clear, they reveal clear waters. I'm seeing clear waters. This is you spending time around lakes, around beaches. This is you spending time around ponds, and you working with these, and also these really big bodies of water. The fact that also Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer in the ninth house at that time, I feel like we're going to start hearing a lot more about water, and we're going to start hearing more about oceans and beaches and big bodies of water. And I just heard the word land. I just heard the Gulf. So it could have something to do with the Gulf, or there's something happening at the Gulf. I don't know why that's coming through right now, but it's something about, why did I just hear the word explosion? I don't know what that's about, but right. So, okay. I just heard the word cosmic waters. I feel like spirit is wanting you to also open yourself up to, and I'm getting another message here. This is completely off topic, but I'm hearing that spirit is wanting you to open your mind up to other beings, to otherworldly beings, specifically the ones that come from the water. It's so interesting that I'm picking up on that, because I feel like there's something mind blowing happening here where you start to really Oh my, I just heard the siren, like a siren's call. I just heard a siren call. I feel like you have a connection to mermaids. Poseidon also. Oh, this is bringing me to Norfolk. I wonder if there's going to be something happening in Norfolk. I think there may or may not be a base in Norfolk, actually. I know there's a base that is like 11 minutes away from where I'm at right now. It's an Air Force base, I think it is. But I feel like Langley, I think it's called. So I'm wondering if that message is for me behind the scenes. I don't know. I'm going to sit with spirit on that one. But anyway, I feel like also this energy is all about you expanding the vastness of your own emotional space. I keep saying that, but that's just what it is. Also, the sea is your home. You were born of water. You're returning back to home. And you're understanding that by going back to this space, you realize just how much you've learned, just how much there is to learn. And the funny thing is that we're always learning. We are always learning. I just heard something about like a school teacher or you teaching something, because Jupiter does rule teaching. It rules teaching on a more broad scale, on a broader scale. Unlike Mercury, where it's like, okay, yes, it does teach, but it's usually within its local community. When it's Jupiter, it's like, no, this is publishing, this is expanding, anything dealing with things that are more expansive. So you could be writing a book right now, or you may be called to write a book. That's also me, because I fall into that as a writer. But as a writer and as someone that does express herself through poetry, I can see right now that that with this chart, you really do want to focus more on writing things down, jotting down ideas, and sharing those ideas and expressing those ideas, and you bring another perspective as it pertains to emotions, feelings. Okay, so I wanted to give a few more messages before we go, because this chart is screaming at you becoming not only inspired, but allowing yourself to express the things that you learned through arts, and express the things that you learned along this journey of Jupiter being retrograde in Cancer. You allowing yourself to express the things that you've uncovered. And it really does feel like there's a start of something that you wouldn't have been able to do without this emotional awareness. Wouldn't have been possible. Now it's possible. I feel like this could have been I just heard something about like a school teacher or you teaching something, because Jupiter does rule teaching. It rules teaching on a more broad scale, on a broader scale. Unlike Mercury, where it's like, okay, yes, it does teach, but it's usually within its local community. When it's Jupiter, it's like, no, this is publishing, this is expanding, anything dealing with things that are more expansive. So you could be writing a book right now, or you may be called to write a book. That's also me, because I fall into that as a writer. But as a writer and as someone that does express herself through poetry, I can see right now that with this chart, you really do want to focus more on writing things down, jotting down ideas, and sharing those ideas and expressing those ideas, and you bring another perspective as it pertains to emotions, feelings, intuitive hunches, and the things that you have learned. I feel like with this transit, the fact that we do have a stellium in the sign of Pisces, we have 3 planets there. I consider this a stellium. So I feel like with us having a stellium in Pisces, as well as one in Aries, with all of these major energies sitting in the lower part of the chart, this is something that you learn from the internal world, and then you bring it out in the more expanded, broader world, because Jupiter at the time obviously is going to be in the ninth house. So the things that you learn behind the scenes are the things that you also are going to be sharing more than likely out with the public, more with your community, if you resonate with that. As I looked at the recording time, that was at 2:22. So you could be called to share more things with your community, but also on your social media platforms. Maybe you want to start writing a book, or maybe you have a painting piece that you want to share with the world that you may be bidding. Either way it goes, I feel like the answer is yes to this if you have learned. If not, it is going to be a more of a difficult transit, because Jupiter again is going to expand the things that it touches. So if there are still things that people are more reluctant to change, or if there are things that people are more reluctant to learn, then it's not going to be a very favorable transit. In fact, I think that what's going to end up happening is that all the things that they keep suppressing, or if they're choosing to suppress these things, all it's going to do is start affecting the organs. It'll start, it could lead to gut issues, gastrointestinal issues, issues with the legs. I'm getting itching. Like it's really giving me like itching. I just heard I don't know why I'm hearing like the word gout, but I'm hearing the word gout, anything dealing with the feet and things of that nature. I feel like this is where you really do, I mean, headaches, migraines, right? Because of all the emotional tension. So you really want to pay attention to how your emotional and spiritual bodies are affecting your physical vessel. And you really do want to assert yourself in a more emotionally aware, but also in a less controlling way. This is where when you have, because we do have Jupiter that is trining the ascendant, this really does look like you releasing control and you releasing power and you releasing the power that you believe that you have for a more broad understanding. And I just wanted to kind of add those things. So whatever you're learning right now, I want you to put that into some kind of poem or put it in a writing piece or paint or draw or dance, do ballet or whatever it is. Use your form of expression, your preferred form of expression to get the things out that you learned, okay? I feel like you are going to have a lot of a better time if you decided that you were going to express yourself via art. Make a statement. What statements are you making right now? What statements of peace? This is where we are starting to come together and figure out how can we utilize our own control to come together to promote peace, to promote compassion. I feel like you could have a sense of changing your heart to where you want to be more compassionate and you want to implement your wisdom and your art for global causes. So obviously there's things happening out in the world where things are rupturing and things are falling apart. Maybe there's something that you want to take initiative on to where you want to add to this global change. Maybe there's something that we can learn from you that can add to peace, that can help us to reclaim the world, that can help us to reshape not only ourselves and our intimate. Wow, I just saw a lizard. Well, that's it. That is it. Look up the King of Wands. Dream the world into being. This is where you start to act on the things that you dream about. Express yourself through art. Express yourself in a way that is unique to you, authentic to you. And I feel like you're going to start not only receiving a lot more attention, but you're going to add to positive change. So how would I work my magic at this point? I would actually do planetary magic. I would work directly with Jupiter. I would work directly with Jupiter by allowing myself to do workings on Thursdays. I would work with the crown region. I would also, I would wash my hair. I would use herbs. Honeysuckle is a really good herb to use. You could also use chamomile if you like. I would definitely be working with red clover blossom. And I would definitely be working with one of these. I'm actually going to be working with this planetary magic intentional oil for Jupiter because this does not only help you to expand your consciousness, but it also does help to expand your blessings. And whatever you're setting your attention for, that has to do with you learning how to be more in your power, more in your emotional power and, in clarity and things of that nature. I would also work with, some of you may be called to work with mugwort, which makes sense. But I would also, juniper berries is a good one because it does help you. It helps you to become empowered. It does help to empower you when you use it. What else would I work with? Calendula is a good one to work with right now because, of course, you do have a grand trine in fire. So calendula is a good thing to work with. You could use, what did I just say? I just heard for some of you, you may want to work with hyssop. You may want to work with hyssop, and that makes sense because spiritual cleansing, that makes a lot of sense. Protection, red clover blossoms. You can do chamomile if you wanted to. You could do patchouli if you wanted, right? I'm actually going to be looking deeper into the chart to see what else I would work with. Yeah, the planetary magic oil, expanding your consciousness, expanding your pockets, right? Expanding your blessings. I would work with nourishment, emotional nourishment. I do have a divine nourishment oil that is actually here, which is so fitting for this moment because this is where you start to replenish yourself from everything that has happened during Jupiter retrograde. I will also work with spiritual protection. I need to stop saying I've said a lot and I do not like it. That's really annoying. So basically with the spiritual protection oil, I would definitely work with that because why not? You always need a protection oil. Also, the number is 3. 333, 33. You may have been seeing that I have a crazy story time about what happened the other day because it was wild, and I have a witness, which I'm really happy about. So the number here you want to work with more than likely is 3. Of course, 3 things coming together. You do have grand trines here, so the number 3 is very relevant, is very potent. See where Jupiter falls into your chart. Also look to see where Cancer is, and also look for the moon. These are all keys that you can work with and whatnot. And if you need any help with that, let me know down in the comment section. If you need more insight on how you can work with Jupiter and your own workings, I would work with a lunar oil as well tonight, if you will. I'm going to be setting intention on certain things. Because Jupiter is transiting my 3rd house, I'm going to be working on enhancing and expanding my communication skills and showing up as in a way that is authentic and unique to me. So anyway, yeah, that's it. I hope that you got what you needed from here. Make sure that you give this video a like, please, because you will allow YouTube to know that I'm someone worth listening to. And because my purpose and my path is so different, you're not going to find me doing a lot of astrology videos. The reason why is because, again, I'm a writer. So I will pull into the messages and I will write them, and I will also I will create poems, and I focus a lot on more writing as well as spoken word pieces. So yes, that's where you're going to find me at. And I also am in the Etherium. I come here when I feel like I need to. And yes, anyway, yes, I do love you. I do appreciate love you. And all the links that you will need are going to be down in the description box. Thank you for tuning into this message. Also, comment, subscribe, and also find me on social media at Nuna Sees. Take care, and I will catch you. Oh, no, wait, before you go, make sure you are a part of the Saiyonan circle. Okay. Take care, and I'll catch you in my next video.